it's Natalie. Welcome to my channel. I'm just over here bumming it. Actually, I am trying to get a couple things filmed right now. So I was in the process of doing a look and I was like, you know what, let me just do an El Natural look, aka no makeup, for my story time video. I did throw on this gloss from my Bite set that I got at Marshall's. It's the Rose Pearl Gloss. It is so gorgeous, isn't it? And it like matched perfectly with this. I have my hat on because I just got my hair dyed and it's like kind of, you know, a little bit of residue since it's such a dark color, but I guess you'll see it anyway because after this I am going to wipe off what powder I do have on my face and do a look and film again. So there's that. But here we are for story time. I think this is part 4. Finally getting into some juicy details. Well, I feel like the juicy details that people want to hear about because it's more of a disaster and people like hearing disasters. But disclaimer, any negative comments or anything left in this video will not be addressed. If you still feel the need to leave them, feel free. Just fair warning that I do not address them any longer. And with that said, let's jump into the story. I left off, I believe, at the part where I was towards the end of college, living at home now. My friend, her dad recently passed and she started getting into pills and I followed her. I had at this point been drinking very heavily. Yes, I had tried drugs in the past. Honestly, opiates, I had never tried heroin. I had tried pain pills. I did not like. I would get sick if I would do them or just be really tired. I didn't like them. They weren't my thing. Had done speed. I had done a lot of different things, but it was more of like a one-time thing or never really like ran with it like I did with alcohol. Well, she started getting into benzos and then into pain pills. So I followed suit. I would take benzos here and there. I guess I liked them. They were really whatever for me. But then when we started doing pain pills, it was like, oh wait, hold on. And we were doing just like Vikes and Perks, just the lowest milligrams that you can get. At this point in my life, I was very, very depressed. Like I said, I was drinking very heavily. I was feeling down about myself because of how other people viewed me. So instead of changing it, I would be like, oh, they think I'm disgusting, they think I'm this or that. So I would just keep continuing the cycle and trying to fill the void with alcohol or a random hookup or something like that. And yes, I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like feeling used by men, but I did not know how to get out of the cycle. So when we started taking pills, I was like, hold up. Last night, when we did pills instead of drink, I had more fun than I ever have a night out of drinking. I didn't black out. I don't have a hangover. I didn't embarrass myself. I didn't even want to talk or socialize to anybody. So I could just keep doing this and I would be out of the spotlight. I don't even feel the need to socialize. I don't even care about socializing. So all of that stuff just goes out the window. I don't have to have people like me or feel the need to have people like me because it doesn't matter. Because when I do this, I feel amazing. I feel like I'm on top of the world. I feel like I know how to solve all of my problems. I feel like I know that my life is going to turn out amazing. I feel like I have all the answers to everything. I feel like I have a warm, fuzzy blanket wrapped around me. That's how a lot of people describe opiates. Well, mainly heroin. And yes, heroin feels like that. But we're not there yet. Pain pills do too, to an extent. Pain pills, to me at the time, felt amazing. We switched, like, it went from drinking every night to never drinking. Sometimes I would still go out, but I would, like, maybe have one drink and I would just be taking pills. Yes, it progressed to no more going out, only drugs, but at this point I was still going out socializing, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not embarrassing myself. I'm not even acting like interested in this like whole socialization thing everyone's doing here. Like, oh my gosh, I probably, like, I'm so cool. I don't even want these people to talk to me. I don't even care. Pathetic. Which now I sit back and look at it and I'm like, pills, no pills, alcohol, no alcohol, what? How bad does your mind have to be to even want the people that I wanted to accept me, like, these are people who are hanging out in bars every night. Like, these are people who are 10 years older than me and go out 5 nights a week, and I think they're cool. I don't think they have a problem. I think they're doing the normal thing. Like, guess what? They're all still doing the same thing. It's the same thing. Those are the ones who are now suddenly like, oh, look, Natalie has her life together. Let's pop in her inbox. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I just felt like I had found the answer. I started with my one really good friend, kind of got him involved into it too. I mean, I didn't, but we kind of started like both getting involved together, and then him and I, like, every night would just go, if I worked late, go to Walmart, take pills, go to Walmart and get food. And like, it was the most fun thing ever. Like, consistently, like all the time, this was what my life was. Lost interest in going to the bar. This is around the time that I met somebody. It was someone I had gone to high school with that I knew of, but like wasn't really friends with. He was older than me. I was really into that scene, so we were like gravitating towards him. He in high school was like straight A's, honor roll. He was in school to be a doctor. Like your perfect all-American kid. No one, drugs don't discriminate, right? Drugs do not discriminate. Story pause. There are some things that I am going to have to leave out because it is not my story to tell. Maybe some things that involve court cases or different things that like I really cannot elaborate on. I will elaborate on my parts of it. So there's only so much I can say about certain things is where I'm getting to. So this kid. So at this time, my friend, she continued doing stuff and I continued doing stuff. But it got to a point where like she was doing a lot too, but like I took it and ran with it. Like she was working 5 days a week at the time during the day. I was waitressing, finishing up college. I was still in that like party mode. I was just really like going all in. Like I would work late at night at Eaton Park. As soon as I was off work, I would go and hang out with these people and do this stuff like all the time. That was it. Still getting good grades in school, still going to school, still getting good grades. I remember one time at work, like for the longest time I didn't know I was addicted, and I remember one time at work, it was like the end of my shift and I was really agitated and I was just like so angry and so annoyed. And I remember like meeting up with my one friend who I would always go to Walmart with, taking the pills, and like 20 minutes, half hour later, I was like, oh my God, I'm addicted to pills. Like, I'm addicted to opiates. I was like, why did I not like put two and two together that every time I start getting agitated at work lately at the end of the night, it's because I'm starting to withdraw from the night before. It took me a while to realize that. And I think with addiction, like once you realize it and the further and further you get in, the harder it is to go without. And the more physically and mentally dependent you are, and because the mental dependency becomes so strong, it actually tricks you into thinking like you are more physically dependent. And it also rewires your brain. So that way, like, it's easier to stop at the beginning, and the further you go, the harder and harder it is to stop, and the more pain it really is, and the more intense it really is. It's kind of like, I never believed it, but it's so true when they say how if you stop using, when you start again, you go back to exactly where you left off. And it wasn't until I became a full-blown addict that I realized it was true. Because I used to be able to like, maybe get around that. But towards the end, it got to the point where like, if I would get clean and go back out, there was no gradual. It was right back to the mess, 100 times worse, full force. It is so true. Just, I thought it was so much fun. And I was always hanging out at that guy's house, and he had 2 roommates. The one I'm still really, really good friends with. I am still friends with. He is in prison though for 24 years. We're getting there. Not sure if it's gonna be the full 24. That's not my business to tell, but he's in prison as of now for 24 years. My whole time being out, I got one charge, and it involves that. I have to figure out how I'm going to address that and tell you guys about it. I think I'm gonna do a singular video on it. That will be next week's video. I don't really want to touch on it because it is so much. It just needs its whole own video, seriously. So we are gonna go up to that point. So at this point, I was physically, mentally addicted to pills. I was, but I want to say that it wasn't until recent, the past couple years, because this was like 5-6 years ago, wasn't until my relapse after Sean died, so like 2 years ago, that I realized that I had gone over the hump. Like with addiction, there's like this hump, I think, where if you're on the other side, you still have some normalcy. But once you cross that hump, it's like there's a rewiring in your brain. My opinion on addiction, coming from an addict myself, yes, I believe addiction is a disease. But it's more than that. You can't just say it is a disease. Addiction starts out as a choice. There's no denying that. And it continues as a choice for a while until you get to that hump. And then once you cross over, addiction no longer is a choice. It is a disease because your brain has become rewired. And the longer you go, the worse, the more it changes, and the more it becomes just, you forget all normalcy. You don't even understand it. All you understand is the life you're in because you're living it day in and day out all day. So to the average person, sticking a needle in your arm is not normal. But if you're doing it 10, 20 times a day, just so that you can get out of bed, it doesn't seem so crazy. And that's where the problem lies. It just becomes normal life. And once you get, you can almost, I almost like can remember it happening, and it's like, it's scary. It's scary to realize that you are fully there. I remember thinking it was cool to be an addict. Is that disgusting to say? I feel, at least I can admit it, because I feel like other people think it too. I thought that it was cool to be a heroine, even before like, I never thought I would do it, but there was, even though it was gross and disgusting and this and that and all the stigma, there was this little tiny grain of sand sized bit in my brain that thought that there was some aspect of that that was cool, or some aspect of drug use in general and that wild life that was cool. It's crazy. It really is crazy. Sorry, I'm like off on this tangent. So I just was partying all the time, not just doing pills, and then it got to the point, you know, where okay, I would just do it at night, and then I wasn't really withdrawing during the day because I'd do it the next night, but then, oh, I can't even get by like that. I have to start taking Suboxone in the morning, and then I'm only going to use at night, and just all that chaos. But I was working at Eaton Park, and I started working at a bar also. And then that just contributed to that wild life. Well, I was at Eaton Park for 7 years, and I got fired after 7 years. I worked constantly. I worked all the overnight midnights. I was a good worker. I never caught on. I was a good worker. I don't think anyone could say differently of me. I was moody. I started getting moody at work because I wasn't using at work at this point. I didn't use at work for a very, very long time. Never used at work at Eaton Park. And one night I was working midnight. I was stressed. I probably was withdrawing and didn't even know. I had all this stuff going on. I was like the only person. No one was helping. All these people up front to be waited on. People at the register. This huge to-go order came in. And they just like meal after meal after meal. And I put the phone down. Instead of putting it on hold, I put it down. And I was like cussing. Like, this mother... Well, she heard me, and she called my manager, and the next day I came in and got fired. And I remember being like, all right, I don't care, and walking out and sitting down in my car and just bawling my eyes out, because I'd been there for 7 years. Like, I don't know, I made so many amazing friends, people I'm still friends with at that place, and you know, I tried to tell myself, like, well, whatever, now I can work at the bar and make more money anyway, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that atmosphere was terrible, too. The owner was a complete asshole. He really was. Just turned into more partying, and this is the time frame where the charges thing comes into play. So I'm going to leave off here and talk about that next week. Yeah. So, thank you for listening. You know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. Is that it? I guess that's it. I will see you guys back here very shortly, because I'm going to do another video tonight. Even though I'm tired, I'm going to do another one. So, I will see you soon. Tomorrow, I guess, right? Because I'm going to put out another one tomorrow, I hope. Alright, bye. Bye.